Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Late Night Learning. I'm your host, Dr. Anthony Palomba. Now today we're going to be talking about social media marketing, part 2 of our session on what it means to be engaged in social media marketing. So in our last lecture, we kind of dipped our toe into what likes and retweets are, what we should be paying attention to when we're posting something, how social media campaigns allow us to customize messages to our audiences, and we did touch briefly on segmentation. In this lecture, we're going to be delving into case studies that do in fact look at psychographics and look at other ways in which companies have executed really solid social media campaigns to reach their target demographics. We're also going to be looking at Google Analytics as well, and we're going to be touching on advanced filtering and a few other things that we can do on Google Analytics. So without further ado, let's get started. When we were talking about social media marketing in the last lecture, we touched briefly on social community, but this is important to note when we're thinking about social media marketing. I want to start with social community because remember, we were talking about how social media platforms are seeking ways in which to pull people together and to consolidate people around particular group activities. Those of you who watch television still, you've probably seen commercials for Facebook groups, rock climbing, rocket model building. These are group activities that cannot be measured otherwise, right? If we think about people going to the movies once a month, that can be measured. People's credit cards can be swiped and movie ticket purchase behavior can be measured. Chances are I cannot measure how often you go rock climbing. Chances are I cannot measure how often you play the kazoo or play the saxophone. Social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat are looking for different ways to measure other activities that traditionally marketers are not aware of. And so when we think about social communities revolving around channels, social media marketing allows for different kinds of grouping than traditional marketing would allow for. And remember from our last lecture, we talked a lot about touch points. Social media marketing involves a lot of consumer touch points. We can see bounce rates, right? From our last lecture, we talked about people entering onto a website and leaving it. That's the bounce rate. We can look at sessions per user, the amount of clicks per user. There's a lot of information that is gathered through social media marketing. Monetization strategy must also be included here in social communities. So if the social community may be rock climbers and Facebook convinces enough people to formulate rock climbing groups, that's great. We can track the behavior of rock climbers, the photos, the videos, all of this activity that's posted that otherwise wouldn't be captured and couldn't be monetized by companies. The goal is to create programming that is interesting enough to attract people to watch or listen. So there's this notion with social media marketing that there's this interruption and disruption model, right? You have to do something that disrupts conversation. If we go back a few years during the Super Bowl, I think it was 5 or 7 years ago, in which the Ravens played the 49ers, the Super Bowl had a blackout, right? I believe it was within the first 2 quarters, there was like a 10-minute blackout during the game. Oreos jumped onto Instagram to say that you can enjoy Oreos even in the dark, right? You know, that's a great social media campaign, spur of the moment, that interrupts conversation, interrupts everybody texting and tweeting each other, hey, the Super Bowl just got blacked out. And so that's what I mean by interruption and disruption, breaking through the white noise. Once attention is secured, we can push people to view commercials, we can push people to consume photos, we can push people to take polls online. Taco Bell has done this in the past with polling on its Twitter handle. The trick is with the social community that you have that follows you to entice them to interact. Let's keep going. The marketing mix. Many of you are familiar with the 5 Ps or have heard of 5 Ps, 5 Ps of marketing. First, the product. What is the product? The price. How much is the product? The promotion. How are you promoting the product? Are you doing a celebrity endorsement? Are you doing some sort of product placement in a movie? Are you doing some sort of social media campaign? Are you doing traditional advertising with billboards? What are you doing here to push along your particular brand? Place. Where can I purchase this product? Can I interact with the product before I purchase it? And then participation. Persuading customers to be able to participate. Participation is a really interesting P. It is the 5th P, and a more recent P at that. When we think about participation, do we participate in products? Do we participate in services? Social media marketing allows for consumer participation. If we think about customizing Nike shoes, if we think about repurposing user-generated content for a Starbucks campaign, reimagining Starbucks coffee perhaps, drawing cups of Starbucks coffee, or creating a new design for a Starbucks cup. All of these instances are indicative of participation. Consumers are involved in the creation, in the production, in the dissemination of a product or service. They become ingredients. They become necessary ingredients within the product and service itself. This is new. And so when we think about the 5 Ps, that last one, participation, is one that your product doesn't have to do. Let's think about it. First, you need a product. You absolutely need a price. You need some sort of promotion, and you need a place for people to purchase it. You don't need participation. You don't. You don't need participation from customers. I would implore you to consider it. I would encourage you to consider it, but you don't need it. That means this is a pivot point for you as a marketer to determine how you want to differentiate your product, because you don't need participation, but you could have a ton of it. And that might be the way for you to differentiate yourself against your competitors. Let's keep going. Goals in social media marketing. So for one, we want to increase brand awareness. We want to be sure that when people think about a product category, you're top of mind. If I mention cars to you, coffee, clothes, TV, watches, what brands are coming to mind? Often, those are the brands that are probably doing the best job because they're still top of mind for you. And so increasing brand awareness and maintaining active presence in the social spaces where target consumers live is important to do. Additionally, you want to influence desire. You have to give people a reason to want your product. It doesn't always have to be that there's some need or that there's some sort of deficiency with the customer. Many advertisements, if we think of skincare, will tell you that your skin is oily, or they'll tell you that there's something wrong with you, or that you've got some issue that needs correcting. But you don't always have to go that particular route, that traditional route, to push your product. If we think about fashion brands like Lilly Pulitzer, the company posts a new collection on Facebook, Flickr, and YouTube. And so there are different ways in which you can catalog your products and services and showcase them to your audience. You can also encourage trials. Social media can be used to support sampling and loyalty programs. You know what? You don't have to pay for the first month of Netflix. Here's a trial run. Here's a trial offer. Social media is excellent in encouraging that, in offering online coupons, in offering different experiences for customers to get a better sense of whether or not they enjoy the brand. Facilitate purchase. Social media serves as a distribution channel and venue for many sales promotion incentives. Social media because there are followers, can drop a coupon, can drop a deal, and instantly 100,000 people have viewed it. Instantly, so many people are aware of it and can go right on to online shopping. Finally, cementing brand loyalty. Social media venues offer engaging activities for consumers that can ensure they spend more time with the brand. We always want you to spend more time with the brand. Remember, the way that marketers see brands is they see brands as humans, really. And so they want you to spend time with your best friend Dunkin' Donuts. They want you to have a sleepover with Honda. They want you to spend the weekend with Toyota or Rolex or Kenneth Cole. These companies are constantly thinking of different ways to humanize and to connect with their audiences. Because your best friend Jennifer means a lot to you because Jennifer's always there for you. Or Sam, or David, or Michael, or Kevin, or Keith, or whomever, or Fran. And so because of all these people who are in your life, you may say to yourself, I need to connect with them. It's been a while since I've seen Keith. It's been a while since I've seen Kevin. It's been a while since I've seen Fran. And so these companies, through social media marketing, want you to think of the same things, want you to think the same things about, it's been a while since I've been to a Honda dealership. It's been a while since I've had a Starbucks cup of coffee. It's been a while since I've purchased a Kenneth Cole watch. Let me go see what's going on with Kenneth Cole or Cole Haan. When companies begin to be thought of this way with customers, they create a competitive advantage. Let's keep going. Case study. Let's look at American Express. And overall, on this product vertical, quite honestly, these credit card companies do an excellent job of creating experiences for customers. Those of you who want to go into PR, those of you who want to go into advertising, those of you who like event management, get in with a credit card company. Good God. They showcase a ton of events. They are very much behind a lot of event planning. They hold events, they co-brand events. They do a lot behind the scenes with sporting events, Broadway shows, and their own experiential services. And so, case study, American Express. So a few years back, they did a Small Business Saturday. They did a campaign to drive traffic for merchants to help them compete against larger retailers. This was super successful by using open forum, so social community American Express created for small business owners. Branded communities are one of the strategies discussed for companies using the zone of social community. So literally, these communities who had American Express cards and wanted to support local farmers markets, wanted to support local barbershops, were able to use their American Express cards as an incentive to join together to help support their local communities. Now, what might this say about American Express? It's invested in your community. It's interested in maintaining your life as it stands right now, the status quo. And we know the status quo is Joe's Coffee down the street from you that you go to every Saturday. American Express is behind that. American Express is more accessible than it may appear to be because some people regard it as a luxury brand. But American Express is for the little guy as well. All of these things that I've just communicated were communicated through action. There was no pamphlet. I'm not reading from a pamphlet. But American Express, through diligent event planning and meticulous communication with its customers, were able to convey all of these sentiments. Let's keep going. Encouraged by this, Amex developed brand fans and shares that content across its social network profiles. The brand itself also encourages people to use its campaign hashtags, some of which are tied to specific American Express products. The latest social media commerce initiative by Amex is Facebook Messenger Bot. And so it has a bot that will talk to you. It uses artificial intelligence. It uses even some of its employees to communicate regularly with consumers. This is meant to show, no, we're not a company. We have a brain. We have a heart. Feels like the Wizard of Oz a little bit. And we have courage as well. We have all those three things that humanize us, that make us accessible. The latest Twitter birthday for Amex 163. It was 163 candles, 163 years of existence. This was another campaign by Amex. They used an image of the first purple paper American Express card from 1958. It received the most likes the brand had ever received on Instagram. It did result in 6 million impressions on Twitter and more than 500 mentions of American Express during the first hours of the party. Total positive volume increased by 272% over a 2-year period. Sentiment was mostly positive and neutral. We'll take it though. That's 84%. 16% negative sentiment. I'll take it. So we can see very quickly here that by taking pains to put yourself out there, to connect with people, to care what other people think, rather than your own company agenda, which for any publicly traded company is to increase shareholder value and to increase dividends. But nobody cares about that. The customer doesn't care about that. I don't care about that when I purchase a cup of Starbucks coffee, although I do have stock in Starbucks coffee, so please go ahead and buy a cup. It'll benefit me. But by and large, customers don't care about that. I don't care about shareholders when I buy a new pair of Kenneth Cole shoes. I don't care. By taking these steps, the company becomes more than a company. It becomes a neighbor. It becomes an ally. It becomes a friend. And when we do these things, we recognize that people in this day and age only have so many friends. I want you all to write that down. People only have so many friends. When we think about all of the brands and companies that are reaching out to you, that are begging you, that are trying to get your attention, you only have so many slots for friendship. Really think about that. You only have so many slots for friendship. Certain companies are going to make the cut, and certain companies won't. And so it's up to you to think about how you want to approach your customer who is already being courted by so many brands and needs a reason to carry you around. When you begin to think this way, you begin to formulate a competitive advantage. Let's keep going. This gets right into social customer relationship management. So the idea here is known as the LARA framework. Listen to customer conversations. Now, by listening, I know that there's a pejorative connotation with that, and by no means am I asking you to do anything illicit. But listen to your customers. Listen to them on social media. It's evidence of how people feel. Even if it's transient, even if it's a throwaway line or something trivial, nevertheless, it is what somebody is feeling in that moment. Analyze those conversations. See what people are thinking. Relate this information to existing information within your enterprise, and then act on those customer conversations. As you're doing this, you begin to build internal mechanisms by which you can correct yourself as you're moving along and as you're engaging with customers. Let's keep going. Social listening. Social media opens up exciting windows for marketing research, whether to collect insights for the discovery stage of the creative process. This social media marketing activity, social listening, really is exciting and engaging. Social monitoring is the process of tracking mentions of specific words or phrases on social media sites. Monitoring enables companies to be notified when a social mention warrants a reaction. The monitoring process itself serves as a trigger. Social listening identifies and collects information shared on social media sites, but for listening applications, the data collected is analyzed for insights to inform strategic marketing decisions. From here, what we can glean is that this forces companies to listen. It forces companies to understand what consumers want and need. Rather than thinking this is what people need, this is what people want, I'm wondering what people need, I'm wondering what people want. It enhances company listening skills. We're told all the time in school, you need to listen to the professor better, you need to listen to perhaps your parents better, maybe outside of school, you need to listen to your friends better. We struggle with listening as people, and it's not easy. We're berated with a tapestry of distractions. We're inundated with information all the time now. Listening skills are one of the most prized skills in any university and in any company. Being able to listen as a faculty member, as an executive, as a manager is crucial. Social listening pushes that into research and to really create sensitive instruments by which we can measure what people are commenting on and what people are saying and what people desire. If we listen closely, we can figure out why people care so much about what kind of toothpaste they buy their children. They want to prevent cavities for their children. Why? Because they want to provide good health for their children. Why? Because they want to be good parents. So buying toothpaste is about being a good parent. That's an interesting customer value. We watch carefully the good commercials, the good toothpaste commercials, capitalize on this sentiment. Sometimes we watch commercials and we wonder, this has nothing to do with the product. Well, in fact, when we sell products and services to people, sometimes it has nothing to do with the product. And it has everything to do with the customer value. When I have children, I'm eager to purchase toothpaste to prevent my kids from having cavities. But as we dig deeper and deeper and deeper, we get a better sense of what people are looking for, what people want. This is also known as laddering. Social listening really pushes laddering. We get to dive further and further and further and further to really uncover what people want. What makes people feel good, happy? What are the values people gain from NBC television, Netflix, Honda, Armani, Victoria's Secret? When we start thinking about customer values and we start listening, we begin to tap into why the customers we have come and how we can keep them purchasing products and services and really being faithful to what they're hoping to get out of the brand itself. Let's keep going. Market research. Market research is something that I am very, very passionate about. It is the way in which we can inform our decisions. So social media research can inform many decisions facing the marketing strategist. These might range from new product development to target audience insights to concepts for new campaigns. Social listening can also alert marketers to impending trouble for crisis communications that might be marked by a shift in the velocity of brand mentions or to assess a public relations crisis. It can also track brand mentions on the competitors' brand names. Let's keep going. Observational research. It involves recording behavior or the residual evidence of behavior for that matter. Researchers in offline contexts have done this for years. They watch people as they shop in stores. Social listening tools can draw from anything that's publicly available in the social media space. We can glean information about brand awareness, attitude toward a brand, competitive advantage, and more because these brand mentions are explained. So social media listening is important here because it can serve as something we do after market research or even something we do before market research. Let's keep going. So how does it work? Social media monitoring or listening works with the aid of software that systematically searches for keywords it finds in social media spaces, such as blogs, social networks, and forums. By carefully choosing and searching the appropriate keywords in relevant social communities, the researcher can gather insight into customer decision making. Sentiment analysis. This refers to how people think or feel about an object such as a brand. This is heavier on emotion than reason. And what might be wrong with this? If we think about how customers make decisions, we make decisions in an emotional sense. We don't always make rational decisions. But if we're always weighing on people's emotions, that's something that is less predictable, right? People have varied senses of their own emotions. And so there may be issues with this. It's very difficult to predict people's emotions and get a sense of how somebody may feel about something. And so it can be difficult to really extrapolate how people feel because people may change their minds instantly or feel something different. So it's difficult with sentiment analysis in one respect because how people feel in one instance may not be how they feel in another instance. And so if we're really thinking about how people may be responsive in a sentiment analysis, it might be something in which they're bothered by cucumber-flavored Gatorade one day, but may still drink the brand the next. So it's important with sentiment analysis to understand that people's emotions change frequently, and it can be difficult to generalize from that information, but you can still use it as a guide. Let's keep going. So to wrap up sentiment analysis, it may be used to look at product reviews to obtain insight into the mix of features people want. It's a form of text mining, gathering text from relevant sources. This is also related somewhat to ethnography. So it's a research method that relies on ethnographic research techniques to study communities that emerge through computer-mediated communication. So the idea is that an ethnography is a research method in which we study people. We just observe people. So you can go on a playground, take notes of how the kids are playing. You can go to an airport and you can take notes of how traffic is flowing through an airport, right? You can watch people on their cell phones and travel suitcases and all of that. And so from here, what we can do is we can look at how people act on the internet, on social media, on computer-mediated devices. This is what an ethnography means here, or ethnography, if you will, here. So as you can see with all of these kinds of analyses, there's a lot that's at stake when we're thinking about how to communicate and really reach customers. We have to think about how we want to reach people and thinking about the kinds of values people may have from interacting with a brand. We want to give people a reason to listen to us. We also should think about employing the LARA framework, if you will, listening and acting upon what we hear. When we do this, we create a competitive advantage that our competitors can't quite measure up to. The more we listen to our customers through social media marketing, the better off we are in not only staking different kinds of relationships, but also maintaining those kinds of relationships as well. That's all the time we have on Late Night Learning. As always, keep laughing and keep learning.